Hello, we are live. This is Ajay Almeida, and I welcome you to my Facebook Live on what are boundaries and why are they non negotiable and super essential for you, especially if you are a working professional. So, before I begin, I would like to know where are you joining in from? Let's make this Facebook Live very interactive. Where are you joining from? Where are you tuning in from? Are you from Mumbai, India? Where are you from? Just type in your location. Thank you. Also, if this is a replay that you're watching, you're joining in late and you're watching a replay, type in replay. Or if it's live, go ahead and type in live. The more you engage, the more you learn. Thank you. So, let me introduce myself to you. Who am I and why am I doing this? In short, my name is Ajay Almeida. I used to be an overcommitter. I used to be a yes man earlier. And what brought me to this journey on boundaries is that I realized after a burnout and after going through a suicidal episode that boundaries are super essential. I'll share my story in a bit. But before we go there, I want you to know that I have felt and lived a life without boundaries. I know what it is, and I don't want anybody to go through that life because that life, that version of your life, is a version which is going to take away your power, which is going to make you get trampled upon and used by people and ultimately live a life without respect. And I know that none of you want that kind of a life. Some of you might be going through that form of life in your workplace right now. And if you can relate to it, if you have been manipulated, if you've been double crossed, if you have been cheated in your workplace, if you worked hard and your work's credit has been taken by someone else, or if you're a victim to office politics, then go ahead and type I in the comments. It's time to admit and accept. Healing happens when you accept what you're going through at this moment. Go ahead and type I. Thank you for your engagement. So, my name is Ajay Almeida. As I mentioned, I am a holistic psychotherapist and I am India's first boundary coach. And I am on a mission to help working professionals like you, doctors, engineers, working professionals, government officials, and students, as well as any high performing individual, to set healthy boundaries and know peace. KNOW. That's right, no real peace. So, what are boundaries and why are they super essential? Let me give you two imageries over here. Imagine you own a piece of land and you have this land and there are no property records. You bought this land, you paid a lump sum amount, you bought this land, and you have no property records for it. Not just that, you don't even have a property boundary around it, you don't have a property line around it. What's going to happen if there is no property map, if there's no registration? You paid the money, there's no registration details, and there is nothing to highlight what is yours and what part of land is not yours. What's going to happen? Go ahead and type in the chat. That's right. You're going to have trespassers and you're going to have squatters. People are going to take over your land within a blink of your eye. That's because there is nothing to indicate that it's your land. Now, that is exactly what boundary is. A boundary is like a fence, a psychological fence you build around yourself, which makes people realize what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with, and how you prefer to be treated and how you prefer not to be treated. It's like a protocol you have for yourself so that people know how to treat you. That is what a boundary is, in short. Now, if this boundary definition has gone clear to you, just go ahead and type clear in the chat. Clear. Let me give you one more example. If you want to meet the prime minister or if you want to meet the queen or a king of a nation, can you meet them just like that? Without any prior information? No. There is a protocol to be followed. Why is there a protocol to be followed? Because the king or queen or the prime minister or the president knows that his or her time is very valuable. His energy, his resources, his time are utmost important. And that's why he or she is going to spend his time, energy, or resources only with people with whom he or she can have a proper energy exchange. So if they can have, and what is that? That's just a boundary. That's a boundary that they have created around themselves, telling others that if they go through the protocol, only then they will have access to them. Now, why would you not have boundaries? If a king or a queen or a prime minister or a president can have boundaries, Why would you not have a boundary? What stops you from having a boundary? I'll tell you what stops you. That little voice in your head which tells you that you are supposed to be good, you're supposed to be available for everyone. If you don't perform in your work, if you don't overwork, then you will not be considered. Lies. Completely, total lies. Absolute lies. So if you're ready to form a boundary for yourself, if you're convinced that you need to hush those voices which tell you that you are not important, you're not enough, and you have to overwork to prove yourself, I just invite you to look around and look at any successful person. A successful person is someone who can carry himself or herself with his boundaries or her boundaries and make people respect him or her for who he is or who she is. It's not someone who's a chronic people pleaser. People pleasers get nowhere. If you're convinced with this, then go ahead and type boundary in the comments right now. Go ahead and type boundaries in the comments right now. Boundary in the comment right now. If you are convinced that, just like the king and queen or a dignitary, you need to have boundaries. You need to choose where and how you will spend your time, energy, and resources, which are going to help you. Now, going back to the example of a fence, why do we build a fence? Why do we have a property line? Because that tells us what is ours and what is not ours, what is within my responsibility and what's not within my responsibility. I do not have unlimited responsibility. Just like people do not have a property which is unlimited. Something demarcates what is yours and what is not yours. And that is exactly what a boundary is. Now, not only does it demarcate, it also helps you to own what is yours and to develop what is yours. So if I realize who I am genuinely, and what is it that I really want, now I can have a map that can guide me to be at my ultimate best. But if I do not know who I am, what's within me and what's not within me, what are my resources, what are not my resources, who are my people and who are not my people, what feelings are genuinely mine and which feelings have I borrowed from people, if I have a confusion on all these different areas, you know what happens? Ultimately, just like the trespasser or the squatter who comes in and captures your property, in the same way, your mind, your mental resources, your spiritual resources, your material resources will get utilized by others. That is exactly what happens. Now, if you have faced this kind of a violation in your life, if you have faced people who have taken advantage of your goodness or maybe taken advantage of your hard work, and you have not really grown to a level where you need to be growing, then go ahead and admit it. Just say me in the chat. Admit this, that you are in this situation, because if you admit this, now comes the next part. Now that you know what boundaries are, you need to know why they are super essential. Let me tell you what happens when you don't have boundaries. As you already know, you get run over. You become a doormat and people start using you. And in the workplace, how does this translate in the workplace? In the workplace, you will always find people who know how to utilize your hard work so that they can further their goals and their career aspirations. If you have gone through this, go ahead and type yes in the chat. If you have gone through office politics, if you've gone through people who have utilized your hard work for them to move ahead, then go ahead and type yes. I also have 4 questions for you right now. And let me know what are your answers for it. And this is going to be a small checklist whether you have strong boundaries or not in your workplace. Number 1, do you work with your plan, or do you wait for someone else to give you a plan for the day? Do you create your plan for your work? You know exactly what projects to focus on and what projects not to focus on. You know when you're going to focus and when you're going to delegate certain parts. If you are the one who's handling this, then you have good boundaries in that particular area. But if you wait for someone to tell you what needs to be done when it needs to be done, or worst, you don't know what needs to be done, you just go for the work, and then someone somewhere comes in and brings their work and puts their work on you, and you have a problem saying yes or no. You have a problem saying no, and you just go and say yes and take in that work. That means you have weak boundaries. So, if you have a good plan for the day and you know exactly how to structure your work day, right from the beginning till the end, you have a structured work day and you go by your plan, then go ahead and type yes. But if no, then type no. That's number 1. Number two, do you entertain colleagues while you're working? Do you entertain them to come and talk to you and get engrossed or get entangled in their conversations and then forget about your day? Do you spend time talking to your work colleagues or getting into their work, helping them out and not finishing yours? If yes, then put a yes. If no, then just put a no. Third, if you are a person who finds it very difficult to confront your colleagues when you know that they are wrong, and you just go ahead and please them, or you say yes to whatever they have to offer, or you wait and you don't say anything, and then you allow things to escalate to such an extent that finally you get angry and you have an outburst. If that is what you do, then type a no in the chat. What do I mean by that? It means you don't have the power to confront people. If you fear confrontation, if you fear having difficult conversations, then go ahead and type confrontation in the chat. But if you're a person who can stand up and have difficult conversations, if you're comfortable doing difficult conversations with people, then go ahead and type I'm comfortable in the chat. Do it right now. Let's engage. The fourth one, at the end of the day, if you carry work home, if you're someone who can be contacted at your home for your work purpose, you're done with the day, you've put in your hours, you've put in the quality, and then when you've gone back home, you still have to answer people, you still solve problems for your people, you're still at work. If there is no demarcation between work and home, if you carry work at home, that means you have weak boundaries. And don't give me any excuses. Ajay, my nature of work is different. I can give you examples of people whom I coach, top level executives who do not carry work at home. I can also give you examples of people, mid level, and even freshers for that matter, whom I'm also coaching, who do not carry work home. That's right. And they're doing fantastically well. So, weak boundaries will give you torture and will make you be manipulated by people. Ultimately, that is the truth of it. Strong boundaries are going to make you feel respected. You will be respected, you will be valued for you what you have to say, and you will move up the ladder in your career. This has been the consistent testimony of all the people whom I've coached so far. Now, I know this is counter to what people think. People think that you need to work extra hours, you need to please a particular person, or you need to be doing everything all the time to get up there. Well, you may get up there, but at the cost of burnout, at the cost of bad mental health, and finally, a loss of energy and loss of enthusiasm of life. If you have chronic fatigue, loss of energy, loss of appetite, bad sleeping habits, and loss of enthusiasm of life, then you have weak boundaries. Now, if you found this discussion to be meaningful, and if you want me to connect with you on a consultation where I can sit with you and create a plan so that we can set healthy boundaries in your workplace so that you get to enjoy your work, you feel safe at work, you thrive at work, you go back home with a sense of fulfillment and joy, not with a sense of fatigue, then I want you to fill the form over there. And I have 5 spots open for highly engaging people, for highly motivated people who want to have healthy boundaries in their workplace and who want to live a life of freedom, of high quality, and a life of great performance. Also, productivity at the level of the best. Then go ahead and click on that link and give your details, and I will connect with you and I will chalk out a plan for you so that you can set healthy boundaries in your life and live a life of freedom. We're going to meet tomorrow, and I'm going to bring in some exciting case studies for you tomorrow so that you know what kind of work I do and how I bring people to the ultimate level by just helping them to set healthy boundaries in their physical, mental, spiritual, and work life. So, if you found this to be interesting, go ahead and share this with your friends and colleagues. Freely share it and go ahead and type what was your main takeaway from this session today. I've poured out my heart to you. It's been a very frank conversation right now. And if you have any questions, I invite you to write down the questions in the chat. Put in your questions in the chat. And once this live is done, I'll also be having a Q&A for each and every question that you have. So, number 1, book your slot for connecting with me. It's going to be a consultation call with you and me where I will sit with you and create a plan for you so that you can set healthy boundaries and have a life of freedom, joy, at the same time being the best at your work, being respected for your work, and getting the promotion that you deserve faster and in a more efficient manner. Also, if you're in a toxic work environment, I will guide you how to navigate through that. And if it's very toxic and it's destroying your life right now, like the unfortunate case of Anna Sebastian, then I will also guide you on getting out of that entanglement so that you can be out of that entanglement, that manipulative games that people are playing with you, and land in a better job which is aligned with your values. You will all agree with me that life is meant to be lived on your values. If you don't live your life on your values, then you live on someone else's values, and that's not a valuable life. This is Ajay Almeida. Thank you so much for your time. Go ahead and click on the link, book that call, and tag your friends so that people will know that healthy boundaries are always essential and non negotiable. I'll meet you tomorrow at the same time. This is Ajay Almeida, the boundary coach, signing off. Thank you for your time.